Welcome back to r/MaliciousCompliance. Today's story is about a toxic boss who thought he could bully his entire tech team into working unpaid overtime during the holidays. He literally put work for free in writing, revoked everyone's Christmas plans, and threatened their jobs. Here is what happens to awful bosses. And the first one is titled, "Work for free or you're fired." So I am a lead on a small product implementation team at a mid-sized software company. We do the unsexy stuff: internal tooling, integrations, inventory sync, HR portals. It's not flashy and nobody's putting it on a billboard, but when it works, people get paid and stores stay open, and that's good enough for me. Our team was steady and boring in the best way. We had a director who cared about doing it right, we had QA that actually blocked releases if something smelled off, and we had a known rhythm. Then our director left for a better job, we were leaderless for a minute, and then the company hired a new VP over our org who parachuted in like the season finale. I will call him Kevin. Kevin was the caricature of a startup bro who learned all the wrong lessons. Basically, shiny suit, newer shiny car, parking across 2 visitor spots because he was just running in. And a way of talking like he invented oxygen and we should be grateful for the air. If you've worked in tech, you've met this guy before, or his cousin. He loved saying, "win the quarter" and "family" in the same sentence, and he loved hating anything that took longer than a montage. We were midway through a big implementation for a national client. Big enough that the CEO had wandered up to our floor with donuts for once. It was a serious project with a lot of integration points, security requirements, and compliance boxes to tick. We had a timeline agreed with the client, soft rollout after the holidays. They even had a change freeze on their side. Everyone was aligned for a minute. Then Kevin called a floor-wide all hands. He stood in front of the TV, used a remote like a prop, and clicked to a slide that said, "Win the quarter" in 72-point font. Kevin said, "Alright team, I've been looking at opportunities. The client wants to go live before Christmas. I told them we can do it." The room did that thing where everyone goes still, like if you don't move maybe, the T-Rex won't see you. We told them we would do a soft rollout after the holidays. Their IT asked for a change freeze because they don't want to be swamped on their busiest days. Kevin waved a hand like he was swatting a fly. "Kevin, they are thrilled. This is huge. We're going to wow them. I told them we would do a full ship. Hey, what do you guys call it? A GA? Yeah, GA by Christmas." QA cuffed into her sleeve like she was choking on her soul. We don't have security sign-off on SSO yet. Their SSO is sitting pending on our side. Our InfoSec still needs to review the IDP, nonce and replay protections, rate limiting, and logging with PII masking. Payroll integration isn't finished either. The data mapping still needs validation. We don't have rollback scripts written for the current migration plan. Kevin, details. I need can do. I've done this before. We pull a few nights, bang it out, impress the client, and get the renewal. You guys can skip a holiday. It is fine. "It's just Christmas." "It's just Christmas" did not land. People stared at their keyboards to avoid saying something that would get them fired. But he kept going. "Kevin, so here's how this gonna work. From now until Christmas, you're on. No excuses, no PTO, no working from home. We are going to be in the office building a war room, shipping. If you want to be on this team and be a part of something big, you're here." One of our devs who had put in PTO months ago to take her kids to see grandparents raised her hand and said, "Dev, I already booked out. It's been on the calendar for months." Kevin, "All PTO is revoked." That's not something he has the authority to just shout out, but here we were. A couple people whispered. Ops looked at me and mouthed, "Can he do that?" Then he tagged on the part that really mattered. Kevin said, "And look, I don't want to get tangled up in timesheets on this. This is all hands on deck. We will keep your hours on the down low so our margin on the project does not get hit. This is about loyalty. We finish this for me, I will remember it in your reviews. If you're salaried, you know the drill. If you're hourly, well, we'll figure something out." I stared at him because I wanted him to say it out loud, and he did. "Kevin, to be blunt, I need you to work for free on this push. We cannot blow the margin with overtime. That's what being a team player looks like." And there it was. People shifted in their chairs. My QA lead's jaw clenched. Sorry, did you just say you need hourly folks to work for free? Kevin, don't get legal on me. Don't nickel and dime me with paperwork, okay? Be adults, get it done. Dev, so if we don't? Kevin looked right at me and then at her, and Kevin said, "If you cannot commit to this, tell me now, and we can talk about whether this team is the right fit for you." That was the veiled, "You are fired." Not subtle, I didn't push right there. I just said, can you put that in an email? He rolled his eyes. Kevin, I will send a summary. We broke. People went back to their desks like they had just watched a train almost hit a car, Slack lit up with DMs. He cannot do that, right? He said work for free. I guess I'm eating my plane change fee. Do I still go to my grandma's? It was like being in a room with a fire alarm stuck on, quiet and loud at the same time, so I went straight to HR. Our HR rep is nice, but she's the keep the peace type. She has a stress cactus and a plaque that says, be kind. Me, he just told hourly employees to work for free. He said those words. HR, I'm sure he didn't mean it that way. There's sometimes a disconnect between expectations and communications. We have a lot going on. Me, he revoked PTO. He said we cannot work from home. He said, work for free and I'll remember who is a team player. I need you to put in writing that hourly folks must be paid for all time worked and that previously approved PTO stands. HR person said, let me talk to him. I also looped in finance because nothing motivates a company like the words wage and hour statutes. And well, our finance guy is direct. Finance in email. Do not tell hourly people to work off the clock. Do not. Do not. He double sent it like his keyboard got stuck. He pinged me privately to say, keep copies of everything. And then Kevin sent his summary email, and it was worse than the meeting. Kevin email, effective immediately through Christmas, product and implementation teams will be operating extended hours. PTO approvals are suspended through the end of the month. Exceptions by my approval only. All hands are expected on site. For salary folks, you know the drill. For hourly, I need you to work for free where you can. Don't log beyond your standard day so we protect the margin. We are in this together. Failure to support this initiative will be noted. I forwarded it to HR and finance, and HR replied with nothing. Finance replied to Kevin with, this is not compliant, call me. And then HR pinged me and said, please don't escalate further, we will handle it. Spoiler, they did not handle it quickly enough. Kevin started walking around saying James like, I remember who's a team player, and you don't want to be on my bad side, and you really need to see your grandma. He told QA that their quality obsession was a luxury, and he cornered one of our hourly folks and said, you will get the credit in reviews. Right now I need 3 hours, don't submit OT. That one got screenshotted so fast, his laptop probably got a draft in his cooling fan. He DM'd me to pick it up. I said, we will deliver what you approved. He DM'd me, stop whining, very professional. So I made a decision. I booked a small conference room and called just my team. We all walked in like we were headed to detention. I put my phone on the table, hit record and told everyone I live in a one-party consent state. I was not planning to publish it. I wanted a record of what I was about to tell them. Me, I'm not gonna ask anyone to work unpaid hours. If you are hourly, don't work a minute off the clock. If he corners you, tell him to email it, screenshot it. If you're salaried, I'm not asking you to kill yourselves for this nonsense either. I called HR and finance and they said they would talk to him. In the meantime, we have 2 options. Resist and risk getting people fired or comply to the latter. Dev number 1, we could all call in sick. Me, he's looking to make an example of someone. He's itching for that fight. If we push back outright, he will choose someone and swing. I'm not giving him a target. QA, so we let garbage ship. Me, no, we ship exactly what he asked for. He wants an expedited plan with skipped steps. We're gonna write him a daily email listing the normal way and the expedited way, and we are gonna ask him to confirm the expedited path in writing. No code reviews? Fine, if he approves skipping them. No QA? Fine, if he approves freezing coverage. No rollback? Fine, if he approves forward only. We are not sabotaging anything, we are doing exactly what he orders, and we are gonna save the receipts. Ops, this is gonna blow up. Me, yes, and when it does, we will show who lit the fuse. Also, keep your own records of hours, not on the company system. Paper, notebook, whatever, don't make up hours, be honest. If you're hourly, clock out on time. If he tells you to keep working off the clock, ask him to put it in writing. And then stop and send it to me. QA, this feels gross. Me, it is gross. He just told people to work for free. I'm not letting anyone get fired for refusing to break the law. We do what he orders exactly and only, and when legal and finance look, it'll be clear. We got to work with that plan. Malicious compliance is not glamorous. It's a lot of copy and paste and per your direction. Every morning I send Kevin a daily status and decisions required email that looked like this. Me email, Item SSO with client's IDP, standard security review by InfoSec, implement OIDC SAML flow with nonce replay protections, enable rate limiting, logging, PI masking, expedited, bypass security review, implement bare OIDC handshake, skip nonce and replay tests, defer rate limiting, logging, tuning until after go live. Please confirm expedited path is acceptable. He always replied fast. Kevin, do expedited. We need to move. Me, item payroll, integration nightly batch, standard, staging data validation with client's real sample data, dedupe pass, checksum verification, retries with exponential backoff, alerting if batch exceeds expected duration, dry runs and staging. Expedited, validate on synthetic data only, skip the dedupe pass, fixed retry count, checksums deferred, alerting later, one smoke run. Confirm? Kevin, do expedited, ship it. Me, item PII storage. And to be honest, I'm too lazy to read all of this damn technical stuff, but basically Kevin once again said, do expedited. For the next thing, he said it once again. And well, you don't send a lot of emails with do expedited and defer security review without those getting attention when the house is on fire. At the same time, Kevin was still spraying gasoline everywhere. He posted in the team channel, all hands are expected on site late through Christmas. We're a family. He DM'd an hourly dev, you'll get credit in reviews. Right now, I need 3 hours. Don't submit OT. I told the dev to screenshot and forward to HR, finance and me. The screenshot lived in 3 separate personal backups by dinner. We kept writing code the way he told us to. We wrote temporary scripts to massage data on the fly. We left default passwords in a vendor tool because rotating later was on the list. We turned off rate limiting because he wanted the login page to feel instant during his demo. We wrote crons that assumed the batch would always finish in 30 minutes because that's what happened with 5 test records. We wrote migration with no rollback scripts. We put to-dos in the code where the test should be and annotated the coverage freeze. Per Kevin, freeze unit test coverage at 18%. I hate writing bad code, it felt like sand in my teeth, but each step had an email thread with his do expedited on it. Every time a dev said, we shouldn't do it this way, the next line in the email said, please confirm you want us to do it this way. And his reply said, do it. The hours started piling up. Salaried folks did long days, hourly folks clocked out, and some were pressured to stay by Kevin's team player routine. They wrote their hours in cheap composition notebooks I put out with a post-it that said, write your hours if you want. Some people didn't expect a dime later. They stayed anyway because they were scared. That part sucked. One night I found our intern asleep on a beanbag at like 11:30 p.m. He's not even out of high school. He looked like he'd been run over. I woke him up, told him to pack up and walked him to the bus stop. Kevin pinged me. Where is he? I replied, copying HR, effective immediately per state labor laws regarding minors. The intern will not be here past 7 p.m. I sent him home. HR didn't reply, Kevin did not either. I saved it though. Christmas plans were wrecked. People canceled flights and ate change fees. A few of us stayed in town instead of going home because we were told we had to be on site. He scheduled a celebration push for the day before Christmas and told us to be there. A bunch of us showed up because we didn't want to get fired for not being team players. Someone brought sugar cookies. They tasted like drywall. We followed his process. QA wrote a note and said, per Kevin's direction, standard regression testing is skipped, coverage frozen at 18%. We pasted it into the release doc. Ops wrote, per expedited plan, no rollback script exists. Do not attempt to rollback. We pasted that too. We pushed the release. It worked for the happy path Kevin liked to demo. He recorded himself clicking around the dashboard and sent it to the client and our executives with the subject line, we did it. He popped sparkling water and tried to give a speech about family that did not land. The next day was Christmas. We were not in the office, we didn't work, but we weren't at home either. Most of us who had planned to travel had already cancelled. We were in town with our phones on the table waiting for the boom, and the boom came. First, it was password reset failures, then login page slowdowns, then some stores couldn't load inventory tables, support tickets popped like popcorn. The two of us who had agreed to monitor light forwarded alerts to Kevin. He replied, pick it up, hustle. I replied, we did not book an on-call schedule per your direction. He then stopped DMing me and started DMing random devs, including hourly folks who had clocked out already with, need you now, don't log time, be a team player. Around midday, the client PM called my personal phone. He got it from someone who remembered that I actually fixed things. The client PM said, I'm getting hammered, what's going on? Me, we shipped an expedited build per your VP's approval. Many standard safeguards were deferred. Client PM, who approved that? Me, your counterpart and our VP in writing. Client PM, I need a rollback and change controls back on. Me, there is no rollback script, we can hotfix forward. He exhaled all the way people do when they're trying not to scream. Client PM said, loop in your executives. By the next day, the client's CTO was on a call with us. He was calm as bad. Client CTO, it seems like corners were cut. Kevin, we shipped the MVP. It's normal to iterate. Client CTO, we don't iterate on production, payroll or PII. He said like he was ordering a sandwich. Client CTO, did someone override your standard processes? Me, yes. Kevin, we collectively decided to. Me, he approved each expedited step in writing. I got the emails. Kevin, we are family. Families don't point fingers. Client CTO, I'm not interested in metaphors. Revert to last stable build and enable change controls. If you cannot by the end of the day, legal will be in touch. Revert was not an option because, as documented, there was no rollback script. Kevin said we could do it. We ended the call, he dragged me into a glass room and tried to make me the villain. Kevin said, you don't undercut me in front of a client. Me, I told him the truth. You approved the cuts. Kevin, I approved an MVP. You guys shipped garbage. Me, you said work for free and skip QA and no rollbacks. We did exactly what you told us to do. We complied exactly. He slapped out. People pretended not to look, and that afternoon we got a meeting invite I'd been waiting for. Crisis remediation, update, client release. It had the CEO, CFO, HR, legal, head of sales, the client PM, and Kevin. This was gonna be a ride. So the call started with the CEO asking 3 questions like a prosecutor. CEO said, did you require hourly employees to work off the clock? Kevin, we asked for a team effort. CEO, yes or no? Kevin, we encourage flexibility. Finance turned his camera on. Finance said, he sent an email. For hourly, I need you to work for free where you don't or cannot log beyond your standard day so we protect the margin. I told him to call me, but he didn't. Multiple hourly employees have screenshots of him DMing them. Right now, I need 3 hours, don't submit OT. So yes. Kevin, people are misinterpreting this. CEO, second, did you skip security review? Me, yes, per his written approval. I got daily emails outlining standard versus expedited with his do expedited replies. CEO, send those now. I screenshot, I scrolled, I highlighted line after line. Do expedited. Rate limiting deferred, do expedited. Application level KMS field encryption deferred, do expedited. Logging reduced, do expedited. Rollback scripts deferred, do expedited. Wording that might as well have had his signature engraved. CEO, third, do we have a rollback plan? Ops, no. Per expedited plan. Kevin, I explicitly told them to prioritize, not to cut essential. Me, your exact reply was, do expedited and ship it. Silence. Legal unmuted. Legal, OP, please forward all emails and any recordings to me and HR. Then Kevin tried to turn it on us. He said we sabotaged him. He said we acted with malice. He said we were not team players and he said we tanked it on purpose. He said we were not hungry. He said, work for free or you're fired in a private Zoom he called with just me and the QA lead earlier that morning. He literally said those words and then smirked. I'd recorded that Zoom and at the end of the call when he said, work for free or you're fired, I said, okay boss, bye, and I clicked leave meeting. Then I emailed legal and finance with the subject wage and hour. On the exact call, legal asked, do you have a recording of him saying that? And I said, yes. They said, send it. I did. The CEO's jaw did the clench again. He looked tired. CEO, OP, thank you. Effective immediately, your team is not to do any more work on the client's system without security and legal sign-offs. HR, take Kevin off this project. Finance, calculate back pay and penalties. Legal, contact the client with a remediation plan. Kevin, you cannot sideline me. This is my... CEO, we will talk. The call ended for most of us. HR, legal, finance, and Kevin stayed. I went for a walk because my hands were shaking. The fallout happened fast. We spun up a real war room with InfoSec, ops staff, QA, and a program manager who doesn't talk like a TED Talk. We put change controls back on. We wrote paper migrations and scripts. We added rate limiting. We turned on structured async logging with sane sampling. We implemented application level field encryption with KMS and rotated secrets properly. We also finished the IDP security security review and tested replay protection. We validated payroll batch with real sample data in staging, ran dedupe and checksum, and set exponential backoffs with alerts. We tested in staging like adults. In a week we did what should have been spread across 6. It was brutal, but it was the right brutal. We shipped a proper build now. The client was still annoyed but calmer, and sales ate crow. Legal sent a letter that was basically a bouquet with the check stapled to it. The client accepted our remediation plan and they didn't bail. HR sent out a remediation note to hourly employees asking for any unlocked hours. It used soft words like misalignment instead of wage theft, but finance did the real math. People submitted their notebooks and some folks had assumed they would never see a dime for those hours. The back pay and penalties only came later after finance and legal stepped in. The company cut checks for back pay with time and a half where required, plus some penalties because you don't get to forget to pay people. HR asked us to sign acknowledgements that we had been paid correctly. I asked legal if signing meant I couldn't go to the labor board, and legal said you can always go to the labor board. HR shot legal a look. I kept that email anyway, and then HR did a walk with security to Kevin's glass office. They went in, it was quiet, and they walked out with him. No box, he didn't get the luxury, he didn't look at anyone, he stared straight ahead, face red. He got in his shiny car, he had to back up because someone had parked close to his bumper. He looked very small driving away. After he was gone, the CEO called in all hands. He apologized for the pressure and said it was not aligned with our values. He said the words wage and hour out loud and said, "We will make this right." He looked at me and said, "Thank you for documenting when you were asked to do something unsafe." That's the closest the CEO gets to, "You saved us from a lawsuit." He announced that we were instituting a real holiday deployment policy, no Christmas pushes unless there's a signed executive waiver and client sign-off, with a planned on-call schedule and compensation. PTO revocation now requires executive approval in writing and cannot apply to previously approved PTO unless there's a declared emergency. Also, hourly overtime must be approved and paid always, no exceptions, and security got a seat in planning instead of learning about releases from Slack. Finance got explicit authority to block directives that violate wage laws, QA got their veto back, and we got comp time for the holiday we lost. It was not the same as being with family, but I took a proper long weekend later and didn't open my laptop once. A week after the dust settled, the client PM sent me a card and he wrote, "Next time we will ignore the VPs and listen to the people who build things." There was a gift card in there that probably violated our no gifts policy. I took it to legal and legal said, "We didn't see that." I bought the team pizza from the air. As for Kevin, he put a LinkedIn post up about mutual parting and taking time to reflect, and then tried to start a consulting company. He published a piece about inspiring teams that made me choke. Somebody sent it to me, but I didn't reply. I was busy not working for a clown. After all that, HR asked me to help with the training about healthy deadlines. I said yes because apparently I'm that guy now. I told a room of managers something simple. Every shortcut you force someone to take will come due at the worst possible time, and the people you force to take it will be blamed unless they have receipts. Don't make them need receipts or they will keep them. Some nodded, and one day one of them will probably try to be another Kevin. At least now there's a policy and a paper trail. Edit: on the work for free, he literally said those words and he wrote them in a summary email, and he DM'd several hourly folks telling them not to submit OT. We screenshotted everything, and at the time people thought they were working for free. The back pay only showed up because finance and legal forced it when they realized the exposure. And yeah guys, if you enjoy the malicious compliance stories, please don't forget to like the video and leave me some star emojis in the comments to show your support. The next one is another amazing malicious compliance story. It is titled, "Be available during lunch? Sure thing." So my manager sent a passive-aggressive message to the whole team, clearly aimed at me. "Lunch breaks are unpaid, but everyone is expected to be available during core hours, including lunch." I used to take a quick walk or step out to grab coffee, never missed meetings, never late, but fine. If she wants me available, I will just play along. I started eating lunch at my desk every day, no headphones, not working, just sitting. I ignored emails and messages, and when people came over I would smile and say, "I'm on my unpaid break, but I will jump on it at 1. One day she sent a message at 12:10 asking for a report ASAP. I didn't reply until 1 o'clock. Someone else had scrambled to do it by then. She later asked why I didn't respond, and I just said, I was available, just not working, as instructed. And let me tell you, she never brought up lunch breaks again. And the next one is another beautiful malicious compliance story that you don't want to miss. It is titled, "Get rid of those damn dandelions." So I'm 24, living in my first place on my own. I had rented a townhouse, this was back in the late 80s, even when poor people could rent entire houses, and was putting myself through college. Not a lot of money to spare, but I was getting by. The townhouse was not detached, and I had two neighbors whose homes were directly attached to my own. I got along fine with my southernmost neighbor, aka we said hi when we saw each other, and that was about it. But the other neighbor, he had a chip on his shoulder. So generally rude if we bumped into each other, I would say hi or good morning. He would ignore me, scowl, turn away, etc. Whatever, no big deal, I just took it in stride. Being a struggling college student, I did not have a lot of money for non-essentials. Most of the people in the neighborhood poured weed killers on their lawns every spring. I didn't do this for several reasons. Most important, I think it's a shame to poison the local water table, and while I love a nice lawn, I don't think you have to cater to grass. I prefer a more natural look. Back then though, that meant regular grass, but with some crab grass and dandelions. One day Bob starts berating me over my dandelions. He said, "It doesn't fit the neighborhood, don't you have any self-respect? You bring down the tone of the neighborhood." Every time he would see me, he would tell me that I need to pour poison on my lawn, which I explained I couldn't and didn't want to do. At first I was polite as I wanted to be on good terms with my neighbors, but Bob started getting angrier and angrier and more unreasonable, started calling me poor white trash. One day I'm coming home, parking in my driveway with some friends from school in my car. As we are getting out, Bob comes outside and shouts at the top of his lungs, "Get rid of those damn dandelions!" He looks over and now spots my friends getting out of the car, and he is clearly embarrassed, but he doubled down and started talking directly to my friends. "Did you know your friend is an embarrassment to the neighborhood? How does it feel to be friends with white trash?" I had just about had enough of his anger by then, and I snapped back, told him to F off and mind his own business. Several days later, I get a knock on my front door. Open up the door, and it's a bylaw enforcement officer. Says he's responding to complaints of noxious weeds in my backyard and asks to come take a look for himself. Being a middle unit, the only access to my backyard was through the house. I invite him in, offer him a drink, of which he gratefully accepts, hot day, and take him through the backyard. Lots of lovely white and yellow dandelions peppered over the yard. He takes one look and gives a deep sigh. There were no noxious weeds, which I knew full well, as I had long ago taken the precaution of checking with the city to see what was and what wasn't acceptable in the weed department, and I knew I was very comfortably within compliance. The bylaw cop apologized for wasting my time and said my yard was nowhere near a problem. He left and went next door to chastise my neighbor for wasting his time. I stood at my front door and listened, and it was glorious, listening to Bob sputtering and being angry, trying to defend himself and vilify me, all to no avail. My wife and I cannot even sit out and enjoy our backyard because of all those stupid dandelions. The bylaw cop told him to stop harassing his neighbors and then left. But listening in gave me an idea. I knew Bob liked to sit out on his back deck in the afternoon, so I waited. As soon as I spotted him out there, I walked into my backyard, ignoring Bob as I gathered up a nice bouquet of white-top dandelion seeds ready to disperse to the wind. We had a 4-foot-high chain-link fence between our properties, so the view between yards was pretty much unobstructed. I stood at the fence, locked eyes with Bob, and started blowing thousands of dandelion seeds into his yard. The wind was at my back, so the weeds were traveling quite fine to his yard. He grew red-faced and started yelling at me. "What's the matter, Bob? I'm just doing what you asked and getting rid of my dandelions." He yelled some more and I just ignored him. After depositing several dandelions worth of seeds, he went back inside. From that day forward, for the next several weeks, every single time I saw him out on his deck, I would go out and send more dandelion seeds into his yard. Eventually, dandelion flowering season ended, and I wanted to think that Bob learned a lesson about bullying, but he didn't. I will post some of his other bullying attempts at some other time. And before we end the video, let's read another funny story from r/MaliciousCompliance. It is titled, "Auto Repair Shop Exceeded My Maximum Price Quote." So many years ago, I had a 1981 Ford Courier pickup that needed some engine work. After meeting with a local auto repair shop that specialized in rebuilding engines, I asked if they could take a look at the engine and get the truck operational again. After examining the engine, he said it needed rings, valve work, plugs, plug wires, and a list of other things. I asked if he could do what he suggested for $1,000 or less. The shop owner said he could do that, and we agreed on the $1,000 maximum price, and I dropped off the truck. A couple of weeks later, he called to tell me that the truck was ready to pick up and the bill was a little over $1,300. I asked what happened to my maximum limit of $1,000. He said that once they got in, they repaired a few extra things while the engine was open, upgraded some components beyond what was necessary, and believed it was worth the new price. Well, I mean, at least they are honest about doing things that are not necessary. I told him that I was only willing/able to spend $1,000, and that is why I gave him the maximum. He said that if I did not pay, they would just keep the truck. And by the way, guys, just to quickly interject here, have you ever been scammed by any mechanics? Let me know about your stories in the comments, I would love to hear them. Anyway, the reason that I had a maximum of $1,000 was if repairs were over that, I was gonna take the money and just buy a newer used vehicle. Well, let me tell you, after a long pause on the phone, while I did some fast mental health, I told him, just keep the truck. And then I hung up. He called back in about 3 minutes and told me to come and get the truck for $1,000. And yeah, guys, I gotta say, it is always just a few bad apples that ruin it for everybody else. Not every mechanic is a terrible person or a scammer, but if you get scammed one time, then I have the feeling that you will always be a little bit more cautious and always expect to maybe get scammed or something. Either way, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I will see you again tomorrow, and please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already.